Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into one of the absolute oldest, most epic tales of cosmic warfare and creation humanity has ever unearthed. Honestly, you can forget your modern superhero blockbusters because we're looking at the Enūma Eliš, the ancient Babylonian creation myth. It's a story packed with primordial monsters, a massive divine rebellion, and the literal bloody architecture of the universe itself. Picture ancient Mesopotamia for a second, and listen to these actual opening lines. When on high the heaven had not been named, firm ground below had not been called by name. They really set the stage for a universe that's completely without form, right? And fun fact, the title Enūma Eliš literally just translates to when on high, lifted straight from those mesmerizing opening words.
So, keeping that in mind, ask yourself, what if the stories that shaped our modern world are actually just echoes of an even older, totally forgotten war? Keep that fascinating question right at the back of your mind as we go. What we're looking at here isn't just some isolated poem. No, it's basically the foundational blueprint of ancient Near Eastern cosmology.
Okay, let's get into Section 1, Unearthing the Tablets, Piecing Together a Shattered Myth.
To really grasp this, we've got to jump all the way back to 1849, to the ruined library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh. This is where these ancient wedge-shaped cuneiform tablets were actually discovered. And to put the sheer scale of this into perspective, imagine a 20,000-piece jigsaw puzzle completely covered in dirt, and oh yeah, half the pieces are just missing. Pioneers like Austen Henry Layard, Hormuz Drassam, and George Smith literally had to sift through 20,000 clay fragments to piece this shattered, 7-tablet narrative together. It's wild.
Moving on to Section 2, the primordial chaos. Before the gods, there was water.
So, stepping into the myth itself, we begin in a time when there was absolutely nothing. Nothing, except for two primordial, commingling bodies of water, Apsu and Tiamat. As you can see, these waters spawn this massive, sprawling family tree of new gods. From Apsu and Tiamat, we get Lamu and Lahamu, leading all the way down to Anu, and eventually to Ea and his son, the radiant Marduk. But, well, there was a highly relatable problem here. The younger generations of gods were constantly partying, they were just way too loud, and it deeply, deeply disturbed the grumpy primordial father, Apsu.
So Apsu decides the only logical way to get some peace and quiet is to just wipe out his offspring. Yikes. But the clever young god Ea catches wind of this plot. He crafts a spell, puts Apsu to sleep, and takes him out to protect the younger gods. It's a classic defensive strike, right? But, and it's a massive but, this unwittingly awakens the absolute, terrifying, vengeful wrath of the mother of them all, Tiamat.
Which brings us to Section 3, the cosmic battle, Marduk versus Tiamat.
Things accelerate into total chaos pretty quickly here. The terrified gods realize they desperately need a champion, so they elevate the brilliant Marduk to supreme king in exchange for his protection. And if we compare their arsenals, wow, it's a stark contrast. You've got Marduk wielding structured forces of nature, a bow, lightning, and a net from Anu. On the flip side, Tiamat unleashes these terrifying, chaotic monsters. She actually births 11 chimeric creatures for war and puts the god Kingu in charge, pinning the Tablet of Destinies to his chest. That's essentially the ultimate cosmic VIP pass, granting supreme authority.
This clash is the absolute climax of the epic, and the text gets incredibly visceral. Marduk rides out in his war chariot and uses Anu's net to entangle Tiamat, and when she opens her massive jaws to swallow him, Marduk unleashes the Imhalu, the evil wind, blasting it straight down her throat. With hurricane-force winds literally swirling inside her, her belly becomes hopelessly distended. In that one brutal moment of vulnerability, Marduk shoots a single arrow straight through her heart. The primordial mother is slain.
So Tiamat is defeated, her army is chained up, and the Tablet of Destinies is secured. But then, Marduk does something astonishing, and honestly, kind of macabre. He literally builds the architecture of our universe by cleaving his monstrous ancestor's corpse right in half. He takes one part of her massive body to stretch out and form the sky, and uses the other half to lay down the earth. He's creating the clouds, the rain, and placing the likenesses of the gods in the constellations to define the days and the years. It's cosmic recycling at its most extreme.
Section 4. Blood, Bone, and Babylon. The creation of humanity.
The dust finally settles. The cosmos is ordered, but Marduk has one final masterstroke up his sleeve. He needs someone to maintain this new world, and this perfectly captures that bleak Mesopotamian worldview. Unlike a lot of modern stories where humans are the center of the universe, here, mankind was engineered from the blood of the slain rebel god Kingu for one specific purpose: to be the cosmic workforce. Basically, we were created just so the gods could finally take a break.
In immense gratitude for this new servant workforce and, surviving the apocalypse, the gods, the Anunnaki, spend an entire year just molding and baking bricks. They construct the great city of Babylon, building it as the sanctuary, and raise the towering Asagila temple. Finally, in a grand banquet, they cement Marduk's absolute supremacy by praising him with 50 names of immense power.
Now, what's really fascinating is that we know from the sources this wasn't just some story read in private. It had a massive public life. Ancient ritual texts tell us this epic was recited aloud during the Babylonian New Year, the Akitu festival. This timing was absolutely crucial, because it likely echoed the turbulent spring flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Just as those raging spring waters had to be tamed to bring life to the crops, Marduk's defeat of the watery chaos monster Tiamat was reenacted as a vital, recurring triumph of order over chaos.
Let's look at Section 5, Parallels with Genesis, Shared Roots of Ancient Cosmology.
For this last part, let's step back into an academic perspective and objectively examine how this Babylonian epic heavily influenced early biblical research. Looking at this breakdown, you can see the striking historical and anthropological similarities. Both begin with this primordial watery chaos. Both feature a cosmology where waters are separated to form the heavens and the earth. Humanity is created from earthly material infused with the divine, blood in Babylon, breath in Genesis. And structurally, both unfold over 7 segments. 7 tablets culminating in divine rest versus 7 days culminating in the Sabbath. They clearly share a common foundational language when talking about cosmic origins.
But, and this is a major distinction, scholars point out that the theological differences are equally vast. As we see here, the Enūma Eliš is distinctly polytheistic. It's a universe born out of violent, chaotic divine warfare, where permanent, pre-existing matter is just violently reshaped. Genesis, conversely, pivots to strict monotheism. It's a world ordered by a single sovereign voice, creation out of absolutely nothing, just by the spoken word. So they might be using similar cultural motifs, but they are telling very, very different theological stories.
Knowing that the very foundations of human culture, these epic tales of universe-birthing battles, were reconstructed from tens of thousands of shattered clay fragments pulled from the dirt of Nineveh, well, it really makes you wonder. What other ancient secrets are still buried out there waiting to be explained? The next time you look up at the stars, ask yourself, what other shattered myths are still lying in the dust, silently waiting to rewrite our history? Thanks for exploring the Enūma Eliš with me in this explainer. Stay curious.